Number 11. Rebecca Forkey. On March the 5th of 2013, Rebecca Forkey, an aspiring professional bodybuilder, was on her way to the gym when her life was changed forever by a catastrophic accident on the road. A good Samaritan, who worked for a car dealership, was attempting to tail a driver under the influence of prescription drugs. They had already called 911 and were advised by the dispatcher not to follow, but the Samaritan went against the advice and continued shadowing the vehicle for 3 minutes whilst holding their cell phone. The impaired driver, who was driving a Toyota Highlander, suddenly veered towards the Samaritan's vehicle. Instinctively, the Samaritan swerved their vehicle to the right, causing them to unintentionally force Forkey's Jeep off the road. Forkey and her Jeep rolled 6 times before coming to a stop, with the vehicle on its back. Forkey suffered a cracked vertebra, both her lungs were punctured, her jaw was broken, and her diaphragm was crushed. Miraculously, she survived, but was made paraplegic by the accident. She is now wheelchair-bound, but undergoes physical therapy with the goal of one day gaining back the full use and mobility of her arms. The dealership employee was not charged criminally in the case, whilst the impaired driver served a prison term. For her injuries and distress, Forkey settled a lawsuit with the dealership for $24 million. Number 10. Johnny Bobbitt and Kate McClure. Johnny Bobbitt and Kate McClure concocted a scam in 2017 on the popular crowdfunding site GoFundMe, which stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from 14,000 unsuspecting Good Samaritans. At the time, Bobbitt was a homeless veteran. McClure fabricated a story that Bobbitt had given her his last $20 when she became stranded on a freeway in Philadelphia. She created a crowdfunding campaign featuring the story to take advantage of the public's goodwill. When the campaign raised $1,500, McClure and her boyfriend informed Bobbitt about the campaign. Bobbitt then became involved in the scheme. A month later, after setting up Bobbitt with a bank account, McClure deposited $25,000 into it. The campaign continued to gain momentum and eventually reached about $400,000 in public donations. It all came crashing down, however, when the parties had a disagreement. Bobbitt filed a lawsuit against McClure and her partner for allegedly keeping most of the money that was supposed to come to him. This caused an investigation into the campaign, which eventually exposed the masterminds as frauds. They faced charges of second-degree theft by deception and conspiracy to commit theft by deception. In December of 2017, after the story came to light, GoFundMe issued refunds to all of the Samaritans who donated to the campaign. Number 9. Roger Gower. Roger Gower was a British accountant turned anti-poaching hero. A true Samaritan, Gower was a trained helicopter pilot working in Tanzania. In 2016, Gower and his passenger, Nick Bester, were tracking down poachers who had recently slaughtered an elephant for its ivory. They successfully found the criminals, but they retaliated, shooting at Gower's helicopter with AK-47s. Gower was seriously injured whilst taking gunfire from below, with bullets striking his arm and face. The helicopter was shot down from the sky and crashed into the African bush. Bester broke his back during the crash, but was still able to free Gower from the wreckage and bandage his wounds. Bester then collapsed himself as he waited for aid to arrive. It was too late for Gower, and he lost consciousness shortly before medics arrived. CPR was performed for half an hour, but he couldn't be revived. Number 8. Hassan Askari. Hassan Askari was riding a train in Brooklyn, New York one night when he witnessed a gang of 10 thugs harassing a young Jewish couple for replying "Happy Hanukkah" to somebody who had wished them a Merry Christmas. Askari, only 140 pounds and 5'7" tall, pushed one of the thugs after fearing for the couple's safety. The gang jumped on Askari, but it gave the couple the opportunity to pull the subway's emergency brake and get help. Askari was left with 2 black eyes and his nose was hurt in the incident. But he never got medical attention as he couldn't afford it, even though he worked 2 jobs. Number 7. Hugo Alfredo Teljax. Homeless Guatemalan immigrant Hugo Alfredo Teljax was walking in Queens, New York, when he spotted a woman being threatened by a man with a knife. He ran over to help and fought with the attacker, but the Good Samaritan was stabbed several times. The woman managed to escape and the attacker also fled the scene. Hugo lay in the street for over an hour, slowly bleeding out, and not one of over 20 passers-by stopped to help him. One pedestrian was even spotted taking a photo of Hugo with their cell phone. By the time a 911 call was made and firefighters attended the scene, Hugo was already dead. Number 6. Ashley Ryan Burroughs. Ashley Burroughs was traveling on Interstate 664 in Virginia when he came across a car accident and decided he would help. Abigail Tollaksen had just crashed her 2015 Chrysler sedan into a wall and the vehicle had flipped. Burroughs pulled his truck over in the lane of the accident to attend to Tollaksen. Another car, however, then plowed into Burroughs' truck, flipping it over and causing it to land on him. He suffered life-threatening injuries and died in the hospital. Police say that Tollaksen was not injured during the incident. Number 5. Samaritan shot during attempted snow rescue. In January of 2016, a Good Samaritan was shot and killed during his attempt to help someone whose vehicle had gotten stuck in the snow. The scene unfolded in North Carolina and witnesses described a vehicle sliding off the road and into the deep snow. A group of passerbys gathered to help. Reportedly, one of them mentioned calling the police as they believed something was wrong with the man inside. He heard the conversation and jumped out of the car, pistol in hand. The group dispersed and started running, but the suspect opened fire, downing one of the Samaritans. He then walked over and fired multiple shots into the victim, killing him before returning to his car. A special tactics unit attended the scene and ordered the suspect out of his car, which was still stuck in the snow. He refused to obey the commands but was eventually taken into custody. It's unclear what the motive was behind the shooting. Number 4. Saman Gunan, Thai cave rescue. In July of 2018, world headlines were dominated by the story of 12 young boys and their soccer coach who'd become trapped in a water-filled cave in Thailand. Worldwide experts as well as Thai forces raced against the clock to perform a daring rescue mission. The mission succeeded and the whole group was rescued from the cave. However, there was one casualty. A Good Samaritan named Saman Gunan, who was a part of the Thai Navy SEALs. Gunan was responsible for diving into the cave and delivering 3 oxygen tanks so that the trapped group could breathe. Gunan successfully completed his task. Unfortunately, on his way out of the cave system, he lost consciousness and his diving partner was unable to revive him with CPR. Gunan, who was 38 years old at the time of his death, was celebrated as a hero. Number 3. Manjeet Singh. In August of 2020, 3 children were playing in a California river when they began to struggle against the current. 29-year-old Manjeet Singh, an Indian immigrant to the United States, had just completed his first day of truck driving school. When he saw the girls struggling, he went straight into the water to rescue them. Unfortunately, he too was overpowered by the raging waters and reportedly went under very quickly. He never came back up and was found further down the river. 2 of the 3 children eventually managed to get to shore on their own. Today's topic was requested by Instagram follower Teddy the Godfather. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below, or follow us on Instagram and reach out to us there. Number 2. Michael Agurkis. 51-year-old Michael Agurkis was tragically killed by a hit-and-run driver outside Kennedy Airport in January of 2021. Agurkis had stopped to offer help to a stranded motorist on the side of the road. The motorist had parked his Dodge Caravan, an SUV, half on the shoulder and half blocking the far left-hand lane. Agurkis pulled over in front of the SUV and offered his help to the motorist. They both stood together in front of the vehicle, examining the engine. While they stood there, a speeding Ford 350 driving down the same road slammed into the vehicle and the 2 men. Agurkis took the brunt of the impact. Medics arrived at the scene and rushed him to hospital, but he couldn't be saved. The stranded motorist suffered a leg injury that wasn't life-threatening. The driver responsible for Michael's death fled from the scene, abandoning his vehicle. Later, the driver was revealed as 27-year-old Kevin Drawhorn. He was arrested and charged with negligent homicide, as well as leaving the scene of an accident, driving in excess of the speed limit, and driving without a license. Join the They Will Kill You team by rocking the latest merch from theywillkillyou.com. Order yours today to be one of the first to spread the word. Number 1. David Ashworth attempts train rescue. In 2015, David Ashworth, a 74-year-old doctor, jumped down from a train platform onto the tracks in Kent, England. He was attempting to save the life of his 38-year-old friend, a woman suffering from mental health problems. She had reportedly jumped onto the tracks from an overhead bridge in a suicide attempt. David couldn't get the woman off the tracks no matter how hard he tried. It wasn't long before an oncoming train was heard. Despite the conductor sounding the horn and pulling the brakes, the train was unable to stop in time. The doctor made a last-ditch effort to climb back onto the platform, but didn't make it. The train collided into both him and the woman. David died instantly. The woman was seriously injured in the collision and airlifted to hospital, but she survived. Thanks for watching. Would you rather save the lives of 100 strangers or the life of your grandmother? Let us know in the comments section below.